This phone in my hand is not running Android. It's not running any version of Android. It's not running a modified Android, a privacy-hardened Android, or a custom Android fork. It's running Alpine Linux, the same Linux that powers servers and cloud infrastructure, running directly on phone hardware with a terminal I can open and type real commands into, a package manager that installs software the same way any Linux computer does, and 0 Google services anywhere in the stack. And the wildest part of this story isn't the technical achievement. It's why more people are seriously considering this right now than at any previous point in the history of Linux phones. Let's establish the most important thing first, because this is the distinction most people miss when they hear Linux on a phone. Android uses the Linux kernel. This is a frequently cited fact, and it's true at the lowest level of the software stack. But Android then replaces everything above that kernel with its own proprietary infrastructure, its own implementation of the C standard library, its own init system, its own package management, its own application framework, its own runtime environment. By the time you're using an Android app, you're nowhere near a standard Linux userland. You're in Google's ecosystem, running on Google's architecture, managed through Google's services. What PostmarketOS does is fundamentally different. It runs Alpine Linux from the kernel all the way up, which means the same commands that work on any Alpine Linux server work on this phone. You can open a terminal and type neofetch, and it tells you about your Alpine Linux installation running on a Snapdragon chip. You can install Python with apk-add Python 3 and write a script and run it. You can SSH into the phone from another computer and manage it remotely. This is not simulated. This is native Linux on a phone. The latest stable release is PostmarketOS 26. It or 6, which shipped on June 21st of this year, and it represents the most polished version of this project since it launched in 2017, built on Alpine Linux 3. 24, codenamed Alpine Avocado. The release ships with GNOME 50, the latest version of the GNOME desktop environment, fully adapted for mobile touch navigation. It replaced the previous custom boot splash with Plymouth, the standard animated boot system used across most major Linux distributions, which means that first boot experience after installation now looks like what you'd see if you booted a current desktop Linux distribution rather than a hobbyist project. Modem Manager received an upgrade that brings emergency cell broadcast support to Linux phones for the first time, which is a meaningful practical improvement because emergency alerts are the kind of thing that makes or breaks a phone as a genuine daily communication device. And sudoers, a Rust-based reimplementation of the system administration tool that every Linux user knows, replaced the older C version as a security improvement. The 26. The Zoro 6 release maintains active support for 254 devices in what the project calls its community tier, and the total number of device models with any level of post-market OS support has reached 723 as of February 2026. For context, when the project launched, only a handful of devices could even display a working screen. Now here's the reason why the timing of this video matters specifically, beyond just the June release. In 2026, Google has been actively closing off the openness that Android was built on. And the people who care about that openness are looking for alternatives in a way that was more theoretical than urgent even 2 years ago. Google reduced AOSP code releases from 4 per year to 2, creating larger gaps between when Google patches something and when the open source community can access that patch. On September 30th, 2026, Google began enforcing a policy in the first 4 countries requiring every developer distributing any Android application to register their real identity with Google, submit government identification, pay a fee, and enumerate their app package names, regardless of whether the app ever touched the Google Play Store. F-Droid, the open source app repository that has been the escape valve for people who wanted to install software on Android without going through Google's commercial ecosystem, called this policy an existential threat. The coalition opposing it includes 71 organizations from 23 countries. PostmarketOS is completely exempt from all of this, because it is not a certified Android device. The policy applies to certified Android hardware. PostmarketOS doesn't run Android's certification layer, it runs Alpine Linux. The rules that govern Android's future simply don't apply to it. So let me tell you what actually happens when you install this. The phone I chose for this experiment is a OnePlus 6T, which the PostmarketOS project refers to by its code name, Fajita. This is actually the first thing that trips up almost every first-time installer. PostmarketOS doesn't use the commercial names of phones. It uses the internal engineering code names that manufacturers assign during development. The OnePlus 6T is Fajita. The Samsung Galaxy S9 is Samsung Star LTE. The Google Pixel 3a is Google Sargo. Finding the correct code name for your specific device requires a lookup against PostmarketOS's device wiki. and this single detail is responsible for a surprising proportion of the confusion in first-time installation reports in forums and communities. Once you know your device's codename, you're in business, but you do have to know it. Before touching anything about the operating system, the first step is backup, and the guidance here is genuinely important. Do not assume that because the phone is old or seldom used, the data on it doesn't matter. Old devices frequently contain years of SMS messages, cached logins for accounts you've forgotten about, photos that never fully sync to cloud storage, and authentication tokens for services that will require re-verification after a factory reset. A complete backup happens before anything else. Then comes the bootloader unlock, which is the mechanism that allows non-manufacturer software to be installed, and this is where the experience diverges dramatically based on which phone you're working with. Google Pixel devices have the most straightforward path. Navigate to developer options, enable OEM unlocking, connect to a computer with fast boot installed, and run the unlock command. The unlock process wipes the device completely, which is expected and is why the backup happened first. The OnePlus 6T handles this similarly, with good community documentation and a relatively clean process. Samsung devices running American carrier firmware are the most frustrating case. They use hardware security fuses that prevent bootloader unlocking at the silicon level, meaning there's no software workaround, and if your Samsung came from a US carrier, PostmarketOS isn't an option regardless of what Android version it's running. With the bootloader unlocked and the device connected, the actual installation uses a tool called PM Bootstrap, installed with pip, which is Python's package manager. Running PM Bootstrap init launches an interactive wizard that walks through the configuration. It asks for the device vendor from a list covering Google, Samsung, OnePlus, Xiaomi, Nokia, Fairphone, Pine64, and dozens of others. It asks for the device codename. It asks which graphical interface you want to use. For a first installation, the most sensible choice is Phosh, which is a GNOME-based mobile shell designed to look and feel like a conventional smartphone interface, with gesture navigation, a home screen, and an app drawer. Plasma Mobile, which is the KDE project's mobile interface, offers stronger desktop convergence for users who want to connect the phone to a monitor and run a full desktop session. XMO is for users who want the most minimal keyboard-oriented experience and are comfortable in a terminal environment. After configuration, PM Bootstrap downloads the necessary packages and builds the installation image, which can take anywhere from 20 minutes to over an hour. Then, the device is booted into fast boot mode and PM Bootstrap flashes the image automatically. The first boot, after installation, takes several minutes, and there's a specific moment during this process where nothing visible is happening for longer than feels comfortable. The Plymouth boot animation, new in 26, door 6 eventually appears and confirms that the system is loading, and then Phosh's lock screen arrives, and you're running Alpine Linux on a phone. Repurposing as a communication and productivity tool, you can work around this. For a device you're trying to use as your primary camera, the gap is a genuine deal breaker. Battery life is the second most variable aspect of the experience, and it depends more on the device-specific kernel implementation than on PostmarketOS itself. Lithium-ion battery management requires the operating system to correctly implement suspend and wake cycles, putting the processor and peripheral chips into appropriate low-power states when the screen is off. On well-supported devices with mature kernel work, PostmarketOS achieves reasonable standby times. On less mature ports, the phone can fail to enter deep sleep correctly, draining the battery at a rate closer to active use than the standby drain you'd expect from leaving a phone sitting idle. The device wiki page for each supported model typically documents the power management status, and checking this before committing to a specific device is worthwhile rather than discovering the problem after installation. Banking applications represent the third honest limitation, and it's the one that most directly determines whether PostmarketOS can replace Android as a single daily carry device. Banking apps in 2026 use Google's Play Integrity API to verify that the device they're running on is a certified, unmodified Android environment. PostmarketOS is not a certified Android environment. It's not any kind of Android environment. Even running Android applications through Waydroid, the compatibility layer that runs a lightweight Android container inside the Linux environment, these attestation checks typically fail because the container itself isn't a certified environment. Some banking apps work through Waydroid with microG installed, which replaces Google Play services with an open source alternative. The success rate varies significantly by bank and by country, and the only way to know whether your specific bank's app works is to test it. The honest summary? Don't assume banking apps will work, and if your banking app is a daily essential that has no web alternative, plan for this gap before committing to PostmarketOS as a sole device. Now, here's where the comparison to Android becomes genuinely interesting, because PostmarketOS doesn't just lose against Android in some dimensions, it wins against Android in others, and the dimensions where it wins are ones that matter increasingly in 2026. Privacy is the clearest victory, and it's not close. When you use Android with Google Play Services, which is essentially every certified Android device you can buy at retail, the Google Play Services system component runs continuously at elevated privilege, transmitting behavioral data to Google regardless of your privacy settings. Consumer Reports confirmed in their 2025 privacy analysis that Google's privacy controls affect what Google does with data, not whether the data is collected. When you use PostmarketOS, there are no mysterious background processes. There is no advertising identifier. There is no Google Play Services. There is nothing running in the background, except what you installed and what Alpine Linux's system services require. You can verify this by opening a terminal and looking at what processes are running. The list is short and entirely explainable. Security longevity is the second dimension where PostmarketOS wins clearly. And this is the dimension most relevant to the title of this video about abandoned phones. Every phone manufacturer has an end-of-life date for security patches. After that date, your phone continues to work. But known vulnerabilities in the operating system accumulate without being fixed. Google stopped updating the Pixel 3a. Samsung stopped updating the Galaxy S9. OnePlus moved on from the 6 and 6T. These devices are physically functional but are running software with permanently unpatched security holes. PostmarketOS's stated commitment is a 10-year support lifecycle, meaning the same device that a manufacturer abandoned receives ongoing security patches from the Alpine Linux project and the PostmarketOS community. This is the most concrete expression of the project's anti-planned obsolescence philosophy. The device's useful life should be determined by the hardware's physical condition, not by a manufacturer's commercial decision to stop investing in software for it. Desktop convergence is the third dimension where PostmarketOS wins, and it's the one that has a genuinely unique capability that Android cannot replicate. Plug the phone running PostmarketOS into a USB-C hub connected to a monitor, keyboard, and mouse, and the phone becomes a complete Linux desktop computer. Not a limited mobile interface stretched to fill a large screen. Not Android's partial desktop mode that still feels like a phone interface. A full Linux desktop running full Linux applications, with the phone providing the processor, the storage, and the operating system. Everything running on the phone screen now runs on the monitor. Files accessible on the phone are accessible on the desktop. Applications installed on the phone run on the desktop. This is genuinely functional in 2026 in ways it wasn't even 2 years earlier. And it's a capability that Android has no equivalent for, because Android's entire application framework was never designed for this kind of convergence. Now let's answer the question in the title directly. Is PostmarketOS better than Android? The answer depends entirely on what you mean by better, and being precise about this matters. If better means runs more applications, has a larger app ecosystem, works reliably on a wider variety of hardware, delivers a consistently polished user experience, works with your banking app, provides better camera output, and requires less technical knowledge to configure and maintain, then Android is better, and it's not close. These are dimensions where Android's decade of investment and its vast developer ecosystem produce genuine, measurable advantages. But if better means respects your privacy by design rather than by corporate promise, delivers security patches for hardware that manufacturers have abandoned, allows you to own and control your device at every layer of the software stack, exempts you from the corporate policy changes that are actively restricting Android's openness in September 2026, enables full desktop convergence on standard Linux hardware, lets you install any software without registering your identity with a corporation, and supports device life cycles measured in decades rather than years, then PostmarketOS is better in every one of those dimensions. And those dimensions matter increasingly as Android's trajectory becomes clearer. Here is what the checklist actually looks like for someone deciding whether to try this. You need a compatible device from the community tier list, which in PostmarketOS 26. 06 includes the OnePlus 6 and 6T, the Google Pixel 3a and 3a XL, the Samsung Galaxy S9, the Fairphone 4, and several other models. You need a device with an unlockable bootloader, which eliminates Samsung US carrier devices entirely and requires planning for devices from other manufacturers. You need a Linux computer for the installation, a Python installation for PM Bootstrap, and a USB cable. You need patience for the first boot and for looking up device code names. And you need honest expectations. The camera will likely be limited, banking apps may not work, and some of the apps you rely on daily may need alternatives. If those trade-offs are acceptable given what you get in return, PostmarketOS 26. 06 on a well-supported device is a genuinely functional Linux phone experience that has never been more complete or more compelling than it is right now. The Pixel 3a that Google stopped supporting years ago, the one sitting in a drawer somewhere with unpatched Android vulnerabilities accumulating month after month, is running current GNOME 50 on Alpine Linux 3. 24, after a 2-hour installation, receiving security updates from the Alpine community, and making phone calls. That is the clearest argument PostmarketOS makes, and in 2026, it's a better argument than it's ever been.